Hi, I'm Jim Pence, and welcome to the Joy of Art. Well, you remember last week we started doing a picture of Cross Hill, and I sketched in very lightly with permanent Sharpie marker Calvary and some distant mountains. And last week all we had time to do was to get the sky in. So we're going to go ahead and finish that today. And what we're going to do, you can see in the sample picture here, is we're going to do some distant mountains. We're going to make these in kind of a very light purple, maybe a little even, this one is pretty purple here. I may make these a little bit grayer. I'm going to put a little middle ground in here, just kind of some nice yellow-green, and then we're going to come up and finish Cross Hill. And again, one of the techniques we'll be practicing here is what we did when we worked on circles or spheres, and that's putting some color in and then just pulling it down, sort of a graded wash, so that we get a nice change of value here from the edges of our rocks down to the front. So that's what we're going to do today. If you want to paint along, remember last week I gave you a sketch that you can actually download this sketch from our website, and just click on the download link. You can print that out, or you can just follow along and sketch it right from the screen. If you've already done that part, you've probably already done the sky, then you're ready to go. So you're going to need to get your watercolors, get some brushes for the distant ones here. I'm going to use a fairly small round tip brush, and up close I'm going to use a little bit larger tip, and then even larger when we get into these big areas. So let's start working in the back here. I'm going to move fairly quickly, but you'll be able to stop the video and take a break if you need to. What we're going to do first is I'm going to go into my water here, and then coming over here, this is alizarin crimson, and it's a very nice kind of a purplish red color. It's way too red for what we're going to be doing in the distant mountains, so we're going to need to gray that down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is come in here, get a little bit of green. Let's see how that works. Kind of gray it down. It's going to be a pretty warm color. And sometimes you may want to just keep a little watercolor paper handy, a little extra. Try it out, see if you like it. Not really crazy about that. That's kind of almost an olive green I've got there. So I'm going to try adding a little Prussian blue in. I'd really like more of a gray or a purple distant. Okay, let's try that, see what it looks like. That's a little bit better. I like that color a little bit more. Now, I still don't want it very strong, so when I'm working for those distant mountains, I'm going to pull it down and try to get it not real intense, because remember, the more intense a color is, the more it pulls it to the front of your paper. I'm going to come in here with my little brush. Remember, I'm working on dry paper right now. Normally you work from back to front. Okay, not always. There are a few exceptions where I'll work from front to back, but most of the time it's back to front. I'm dipping into water. Okay, going to thin that color out and just pull it down here. Okay, and I'm actually going to just dip straight into water for this even more distant little hill back here. I really don't want strong color because I want it to be behind that other hill that I just painted. Okay, now I'm going to come back in, get a little bit more of that color. I'm going to come in and go over it again. Now remember, if this is still wet, then when I come in here, if I get too close, my color is going to bleed upward into the other. So I want to be kind of careful there. I'm leaving just a little bit of white. The other alternative to this is to just stop and let that dry, but I'm trying to kind of move quickly here, so I'm throwing caution to the wind. Alright, just going to pull that down, pull it down, using clear water here now. And I probably mentioned before that you can speed up your drying time. If you want to wait for each to dry, just use a hair dryer. If you know, if you're borrowing mom's or older sisters, you know, go ahead and get their permission before you do that. Okay, we've got some, you know, kind of nice hills off in the distance here. I want to bring this one a little bit closer, so I'm going to add a little bit more color to my kind of dark greenish color that I've been using in the background. I'm going to add a little bit more Prussian blue to that, make it a little bit more intense. Okay, and I'm also going to change brushes now. This brush is fine for little things, but I'm going to move up to a slightly larger brush here. Let's see, yeah, it's not too much different. Let's go one step further. That's about right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get my brush wet, blot it out on my baby wipes. Okay, and I'm going to come in here, my new color. I'm going to test it out just to see. You know, let's see how that looks. Okay, I want it nice and intense. And it's almost still a little bit too much like the color behind it, so I'm going to come in and darken that even a little bit more. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm going to come in with some nice strong color here. Now I'm going to come down here just along the edge of that line. Still bring this strong color out. Remember to watch the place where the previous mountain touches. Careful not to get too much bleed back into your other mountain, or at least wait till it dries. And okay, so I've got the edge of my mountain here. I'm going to go into my water. I'm going to just pull this down. I'm going to blot out a little bit of that. That's a little too much water. Okay, I'm going to be really careful that I don't end up with blossoms. Remember, blossoms are what happens, at least with good watercolor paper. You get a blossom when you get too much water mixing in to color that's already been put down, and it can create kind of a, it's not really the nicest look. So I'm going to come in actually with a little bit more color up here. Let's pull that out. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush out, blot, come back with clear water again. I'm going to come right along this side here. I'm working very quickly, maybe a little faster than I would if I were not recording this, because I don't want my video to take 4.5 hours today. So I'm moving a little bit on the fast side. So I come down here, bring this in, and blotting out. Okay, now I'm going to just carefully kind of pull some of that color down in. Okay, so we have part of our next layer of mountain. Now I have this part of the mountain here too, and we're actually having our light source kind of coming from over here, so I want this to be a lighter value, so it looks like the sun is hitting it. Take a little of that water out there. So I'm going to come over here and do the same thing that I've done, just come right around that edge. Take a little water, actually clean the brush out first, blot it. Okay, I don't want just a ton of water on here because it's not a very big space. And I just sort of want to make that a little bit on the lighter side there. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're going to come in and do cross hill. I am going to use a larger brush for that. I've got a large round brush. Actually, I'm going to go over to a flat brush this time. This is a number 14 flat nylon brush. Okay, and I'm going to mix my color. Now on my original, or at least the first one that I did, which I have been using as my testing sheet here, I have kind of a barren, rocky brown color, and that's on purpose because I really want to create that feeling. The day Jesus died, it was a very bleak day, humanly speaking. Of course, it was a wonderful day when you look at the fact that he died for our sins, but it wasn't an overall nice or pretty type of thing. And so that's why I chose to use kind of a brown, rocky look. And so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is kind of a reddish brown color. See how I've got that there? Really nice, rich red brown. I'm going to get some water, add some water to that. I have more to work with. Okay, and I'm going to come back in and, oops, that wasn't it. That was sort of a light red, but it's close enough that it's not going to affect it too much. Okay, I'm coming back in, adding a little bit more color into my mix here. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to come in. Actually, let me get another blank sheet of paper, see if this is looking like what I want it to look like. I think I might actually like to add just a little bit of blue to that. Tone down the red just a touch. Got a little chunk of pigment there. Let's add a little bit more. Okay. Now I think I got it too blue. I'm going to add a little bit more red in. Here we go. And that's the fun of this. You can play with colors and see what you like and what you don't like. Alright, I'm going to come back in. I'm using the edge of the brush. Going to come back in right again along the edge here. Pull that down. Coming along that front edge. I'm going to pull that in. And a pretty flat color right now, but we'll work with that in a minute. Okay, coming in. As I get down here, I am going to go to a round brush for a little while. A little easier to fit in these spaces that aren't quite so spacious. Okay, there we go. Come back in here with the flat again. Okay, coming back over here. I'm going to just pull through now with mostly water. Pull that down. Okay, see I'm starting to get blossoming back this way. Okay, we'll take care of that in just a minute. Blot this out. Okay, let's pull those colors down in. Pull a little of that extra water out. Whoops, getting my other brush in the way there. All right, now I come in with really just some straight color. That's with pure color here, just going down these ridge lines. Just like that. So we're actually working kind of a wet and wet technique here to get these ridge lines in. I'm going to come up here, right along the edge. Okay. Clean the brush out. And I'm going to continue along with just straight color right down here. Right along here. Alright, almost done here. Okay, come in with straight burnt sienna here. A little bit of water. It's got a little hunk of dirt or something there on. Like that red deserty feel that I'm getting here. Down here, get it all the way out. And I'm going to actually come in that Prussian blue just a little bit. I'm going to streak in some dark areas here, just to provide a little shadow. And I'm going to clean the brush out here real quick. I'm going to come back here and get my little round again. Go back into that Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a really, really intense dark blue. And I'm just going to throw it in on a couple of these places here, just to give some shadow. A lot of the paper is still wet. A lot of times when I start painting like this, I forget to talk, and I realize, oh, I've been painting and haven't been saying anything. So, okay, I'm going to pull some of this out here. Okay, see, I got some blossom there. I got too much water back in. Okay. And again, I've worked pretty quickly on this. I could do a lot more and spend a lot more time on it, but I just wanted to kind of give you a feel for how to carry it on. Remember, you want to use lighter values and less intense color in the background. Closer you come to the front, make the colors more intense, and just have fun with it. Remember, that's the best part about art, is you can just have a good time, whether it's painting or drawing or whatever. There's no rule that says everything has to be absolutely perfect every time. Take some time and experiment. Now, the better you get and the more time you spend, you'll spend more time planning out pictures and choosing your colors and all of that. But these exercises are just to have fun and to play with different control mechanisms so that you get a feel for how your paints work. Well, that's about it for today. I hope you've had a good time. I know I have, and we'll be back next week with another tip. Maybe watercolor, maybe it'll be chalk or sketching or something else. But check in next Tuesday for another tip from See the Light. I'm Jim Pence, and don't forget, keep drawing and have fun.